Welcome to the Poisoner's Cabinet. I'm Sinead.
And I'm Nick.
And this is your weekly podcast exploring the lives of the great poisoners and poisoning cases from across the centuries and creating curious cocktails inspired by the tale that we tell. And it's episode 26.
Yes, it is. Hurrah.
There we are. It's
Well
facts.
done. Well done, us.
Yay.
I think anything now, I'm just like, yes, we've done things. Well done.
The magic of the numbers has passed you by.
Yep.
Well, there we go. How are you, Nick?
Oh, it's so hot.
Still so hot.
Still so hot. Miserably hot.
It's not showing any signs of dissipating, is it?
Hopefully this evening or tomorrow, so says the weather, but the weather lies.
You've learned that now.
Always a
Don't trust it.
disappointment.
Well, any poisonings this week?
No, it's too hot for such things. It's just too hot for that.
Poisons just melt.
Yeah, they just sweat out before they take any effect.
When this episode comes out, it will actually be 2 days before my birthday.
It will.
Yeah, maybe I'll release something on my birthday.
Okay.
A tiger.
That sounds fun.
Well, we're hot.
We're
sweaty.
hot, we're sweaty, and it's desperately unpleasant.
Well, while we're hot and sweaty, I think it's time to get hot and sweaty about our new Patreon subscribers.
That's weird.
Let us thank our delicious, delicious new Patreon subscribers. We would like to thank Sarah Conway
Dieter Jensen.
and Jennifer Wade.
Thank you, you crazy mad people.
You beautiful, beautiful people. Very, very sexy. And we will send you a lot of poison when it becomes legal.
Yes, see, the heat has gone to your brains.
It has.
Yes, thank you.
They're all good names, actually, this week. I think they sound like...
Everyone before, you had a shit name.
It's just the three of them together. It does sound like a kind of a Charlie's Angels or kind of birds of prey. Like Jennifer Wade, Dieter Jensen, Sarah Conway. Probably thinking of Sarah Connor from Terminator.
I think you may be, yes.
But she could be the better version of it.
Potentially.
She could do all the Sarah Connor stuff, but with a fabulous hat.
Why? Where does the hat come from all of a
I
sudden?
don't know. I just think it'd be good to have the Terminator, but with hats.
With hats.
You telling me you would not watch that?
I'm intrigued by some sort of like Regency Terminator variation. Everyone wearing a delightful bonnet or a top hat or something.
We could make it. We could write it. We could write it, Nick. Well, Nick.
Yes.
Are you ready
Always.
to drink cocktails and talk about poison?
I think we should.
Or
Oh, it's always a choice.
drink poison and talk about
It's
cocktails?
too hard.
It's not too...
It's just, I can't even make that decision. It's just too hard.
Just make the first one. Any decision making, it's going to be the first one.
Exactly,
is it, today?
yeah. I can't make choices. It's just like, yes, fine, let's do that. Whatever you said, I'll do it.
Okay, we'll go with the first one. It's your story this week.
It is.
Yay.
Yay.
I have no idea what's coming. Some weeks you
don't.
tell me what's happening.
Yeah, and then
Some
some
weeks
weeks
we plan this and discuss it. I sit there with my spreadsheet and ask you for names, and then you just decide to do whatever.
I had what I was supposed to be doing this week on my list. I was Googling it, and then it's like, oh, it's boring. So I looked, I thought, oh, that's interesting. Let's look at that. So yeah, I've done that one. But you probably spend weeks painstakingly researching already.
No.
And I beat you to it. Ha!
Well, you know what? I really look forward to that boring episode that you're going to be doing, which you're going to drag out on episode 53
Exactly, yep.
or something.
And it'll be about 4 hours long. It's going to be excellent.
Well, your story this week. But
Yes.
obviously, we cannot have a story without a cocktail in hand.
Absolutely not.
And as ever, our cocktails are always flavoured with our secret ingredient of the week, which is inspired by the tale that we tell, that we released earlier this week on social media. And this week's secret ingredient is...
apples.
Apples!
Apples.
Apples for all! Apple little Snow White! There's two tie-ins with this. Obviously, everyone on social media has gone Snow White mad.
They really have, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
What did someone want me to say? Are you ready to eat poisoned apples? She's probably one of my spirit animals. The Wicked Witch dressed up as the apple, trying to tempt people. Trying to kill more beautiful women than me.
Dressed up as the apple.
No, not dressed up as the apple. As dressed up as the old witch.
In a big costume, dressed up as an apple, like Halloween. Hello! Like a big foam ball. It's like, you're not very scary.
Trying to entice Snow White. Have a bite, my dear.
It's getting weird.
She's mental.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, I won't. I was thinking more of the witch, but I like the apple idea now, actually. So not only are people going, yes, Snow White, all of the Snow White references, people thinking cider, people thinking apple shots as well. Someone just wants
apple sours. I've seen apple cider brandy.
Yes.
There are a lot of apple cocktails out there.
There are. There's many, many choices. Another reference for us, though, the gamers and the nerds and the geeks amongst you, which is everyone, I'm sure, who's listening to this. If you've ever played a game called The Sheriff of Nottingham,
Brilliant game. Board game.
Get it, buy it. It's one of those games that when you read the instructions, it seems like the premise is a bit weird, as long as you're a little bit theatrical and funny, but it's basically lie dice in a board game version where you have to lie about the produce you're taking to market and must sneak past the Sheriff of Nottingham, and it is fucking hilarious. I have but 4 apples!
4 apples!
4 shiny apples!
Ignore that crossbow that's hidden in there as well.
There is no spice in my trailer, nor silks. Apples for all! I'm glad it's apples, yay! And it's a proper ingredient as well.
It's a real ingredient. It's a real ingredient.
Real life boy.
Made of apples.
It's a real life apple. So with apples,
Yes.
fantastic, splendid ingredients. So many choices out there. What have you gone for,
Well,
Nick?
I have gone for a cocktail I've never actually heard of before.
Oh,
So it's going to be an interesting one. It seems intriguing from the list of ingredients.
what is it?
There's no chartreuse in it, I
Oh,
promise.
thank God! Oh, thank God! Oh, thank the sweet Lord!
It's called Cider House Rules,
Ooh,
named after the film. So it's a relatively modern cocktail.
wasn't it a book before the film?
Oh, it may well have booked me, but the
Bit-
cocktail was made after the film.
Good night, you Princess of Maine. That's all I know. That I saw that film and nothing happens in it
Yeah.
apart from that. This is great, and
Or
I'm
a
thinking,
Cider House
oh, they
Rules.
may have an ingredient might have been given away in the title there, maybe, or maybe I'll be disappointed.
You would think that, but you'll wait and see.
Oh, I'll wait and see. Well, Cider House rules. Cider House rules in this house.
Absolutely.
I think it is time that we go to the Poisonous Cabinet kitchen and shake up a storm. See you in a minute.
See you in a bit.
And we're back.
Hello.
Cider House rules,
Yeah,
eh?
apparently
it's an interesting one. I do like the new glasses that you're using these days, actually.
Yes, these are my new glasses.
These are very, very pretty
I
glasses.
like these. Perfect for this type of drink.
Absolutely. But yes, so, a cloudy number.
Yes, indeed, which I'm not entirely convinced about.
To clarify, cider is quite different in America as it is to English cider.
And this doesn't have cider in it.
Oh no, right, okay.
I think it is cloudy from the cinnamon.
But then in America, you've got cider and hard cider, I believe. Excuse me if I'm getting this wrong. You have cider, which is apple juice, but then hard cider is the alcoholic stuff. In England, it comes in a can. It gives you the worst
It doesn't
hangover
come in a
ever.
can. It comes in like a ceramic jug.
I was getting to that. You either are drinking the strongbow, which is just don't drink strongbow, people. But yeah, the super strong stuff you drink at festivals. Or you have the traditional proper cider from the West Country. Actually, Kent in England produces more cider than the West Country. Anyway, that's the cider portion of this podcast over with.
Absolutely.
Maybe we should just get on with the cocktail. So
Shall we?
talk us through it.
So we have a Cider House Rules, which is a long drink, but we have tequila.
Oh, okay.
We have tequila. We have apple juice,
Nice.
lemon juice.
Nice.
It calls for agave syrup, which I thought I had, but I don't, so I use honey syrup instead. Which is
agave
pretty-
closer to the tequila, obviously, but still we'll
Indeed.
let you get away with it.
And then cinnamon, ground cinnamon.
Ooh, it sounds nice.
So it sounds very autumnal, which is probably not the weather for it now. But all they're obviously all shaken over ice, served on the rocks with lots of ice. So cooling drink.
It sounds like an apple pie in a glass.
I'm intrigued.
With tequila. Oh,
So-
well, let's dive in. You put a straw with it. I'm going to try it without the straw. Okay.
I don't like the ground cinnamon in it.
I can't taste the cinnamon.
It just makes it grainy.
I'm underwhelmed.
So am I.
I'm underwhelmed.
I'm
That's
very.
the honest answer.
It's
Hang on a
not. It's
second.
not an exciting drink.
It's kind of fine. I was expecting
All
more
right.
of a taste sensation there.
Yeah, you can taste the tequila. You can taste the apple.
Yeah, tequila
It's-
and apple juice, isn't
Yeah.
it? I think the cinnamon would give it a nice, lovely spicy.
I'd be intrigued to see what it tastes like without the cinnamon because it is just adds.
I don't mind the cinnamon. I can't taste the cinnamon at all, though.
I can't taste it, but I can feel it.
You can feel it. You can feel it going through you.
It just
Hint of
feels-
cinnamon.
Feels grainy.
It's not
Yeah,
bad. I'm
it's
not
not,
gonna.
it's not horrible.
I'm
I'll
not going to
drink it.
not drink it. Yes,
But I
hell
won't-
has not frozen over.
I won't be making another one.
Very disappointing in that it should be better.
It sounds really nice from all the things that are in it.
You know what? Maybe the agave syrup is the thing that's
Maybe
missing.
so. Maybe it's just
It
that.
feels like it needs to be a lot sweeter. And
Yeah.
while we're not a big fan of sweet drinks, agave syrup has got a really particular
has.
sweetness to it
Yeah.
rather than the honey. So you probably need to double the amount of honey syrup in there, like
Do you want
sweet
some more
apple
honey?
juice. Fuck it, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, let's try it.
Okay, so let's try it with some more
Yeah,
honey
I
syrup in
need
there.
to give it a
Let's
stir.
Stir. That's immediately better.
That is.
Yeah,
It needed that extra
that
sweetness.
was it. Yeah. Oh no, now it's nice. Now it's nice. It needed that sweetness to cut through with the apple. Oh, I'm happy now. I'm less disappointed in you and your work.
Well, how very kind. I think next time, if I do ever make it again, I will not use the cinnamon. What might be
Yeah.
interesting, actually, I might actually try this. Making cinnamon-infused syrup.
Oh, that'd be nice.
I think it could be improved upon.
Maybe we should revisit this around
I
Halloween.
think in the autumn times, I think I may revisit this one.
Yeah, let's maybe
with
do
with a few tweaks.
I think it'd be nice to do a seasonal special of certain things. I mean, we're in summer, and there's certainly a case for us maybe to do a video or something about doing summer drinks. What's your ultimate summer drink? Because we like margaritas, pina coladas, but then
mojitos and those sorts of things,
and then in the autumn, all these apple drinks and hot spice cider and things would be really nice. And then at Christmas we can do eggnog, and at Easter we can do just chocolate eggs filled with vodka.
Chocolate minty things.
Could be just chocolate food. There we go. More content has been sparked by this. Okay, so we've got the Cider House rules kind of in hand. We're okay with it. You don't mind going for a walk with this one. And Nick, have you got a story? Are you going to take us on a journey?
Let's hope I have.
Otherwise, this is pointless.
Otherwise, right, bye.
Nick, take us on a journey. Yeah.
So we're going back to America. So taking us back to the States.
We were in America sort of last week as well.
We were-ish. We started in America and then
we were.
Don't
try and wipe out history here. Crippen is American.
Yes, but then he came to the UK.
Okay, fine.
Crippen didn't get all the way back across.
He didn't. He
So-
got hanged.
He got hanged.
Actually, his family want to move his bones back to Michigan. Yeah, where he grew up. So this may all come back to haunt you, Nick.
Oh no. What will I do if in 20 years' time?
So we're in America.
We're in America. And I'm going to tell you the tale of Amy Archer Gilligan.
Ooh, now I have heard of her.
Do you know of Amy Archer Gilligan?
On one hand, no, not a familiar name. On my poisonous cabinet hat on, yes, because all I do is research poisoners, so I have come across her name, but actually I don't know this story.
So I'm going to tell you about her. But what you have to do first of all
Okay.
is that, people who are listening to this will have seen a picture of her on the episode. But
Okay.
I'm going to get into Shelley now to Google a picture of her because she is a truly terrifying woman. And there's one picture out there that seems to be prevalent of her.
Oh, bloody hell.
She is like a slight cross between like Liza Minnelli and Pennywise the Clown. Sort of. It's that big bow
It is.
that does it, and the short hair and the big bow, and it's a.
I was thinking
It's a look.
Yeah, she looks like... Oh, God, who am I thinking of? She's thinking of the woman from the Beverly Hillbillies. Yeah, there's those kind of TV shows are coming to my head. But yes, that kind of big bow and short hair and big eyes and the twisted smile.
She's quite terrifying.
Quite
really.
the character.
Quite the character. So she was born in October in 1868 in Connecticut.
Lovely part of the world.
Lovely part of the world. It's very nice. 8th of 10 children. But I mean, Amy has a fairly unremarkable childhood. There are actually none of the reports that we usually get of, terrible upbringing. It's all beatings and violence and working on the farm till 6 in the morning and then back on the farm again at 6:30. So it doesn't seem to be any of that, really. In fact, I mean, there are very few records of any kind of her. So it's a very, very average and unremarkable.
We assume.
We assume. Or it could have been so dreadful, it's been expunged from all records. So,
People came to talk about it. We shall never speak of this again.
We shall never speak of anything that's gone on here.
They made her drink chartreuse from birth.
So it could be that also. But in 1897, when she was 29, she marries James Archer. And in 1901, they are both employed, Amy as a nurse and James as a caretaker, to look after the elderly John Seymour. So
Okay.
an elderly chap who's got a big house to himself, widower, getting a bit older, bit frail. So she's employed by his family. So she, as a nurse, to look after him, and husband James, just to look after the place. While they're there, they have one daughter, Mary, who enjoys having the large house and a massive garden to play in. She's got the whole place to herself.
Sounds great.
To run it. Yeah, which sounds like a fantastic childhood, really.
Sounds like a horror story.
It potentially does sound like a bit
Very
of a...
much.
Oh, don't go in that room there.
Don't go to see old Mr. Seymour. La, la,
Yeah.
la, la, la.
No one's ever been in that room since the missus died. Again, West Country, who moved across to the States. But they seem well suited to the job. James keeps the house really up to a very high standard, and Amy taking care of frail Mr. Seymour, doddering around the place, him cooking his meals and whatever. But he dies.
He dies.
He dies in 1904. He dies. Entirely natural causes. There is no suggestion of anything untoward going on at this point. He is an old man who has passed away.
Just simply passed away.
Just
with
simply
an
passed
axe in
away
his head.
without the use of an axe.
Wait a minute.
But his children, who live out in California, had decided to turn the house, rather than sell it, into a home for older
Cats?
people. No, like one of the very first residential homes for the elderly.
Oh, that's That's very sweet of them.
Because they see that what Amy and James are doing have done such a fantastic job of looking after the property, looking after Mr. Seymour. Well, rather than just sell the house, we don't need the money, they're going to turn the house into a residential care home. Which is quite a novel idea at the time.
I mean, it's a very good idea. It's a very good business idea. That's a little bit mean, isn't it? It's just kind of like, you've done such a good job of looking after one person. Here's 20.
No, but they want to, and they fully endorse and appreciate taking over the running of this home.
It sounds like a nice house.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like quite a nice house, and they're earning a good wage. And the place is known as Sister Amy's Nursing Home for the Elderly.
Sister
Amy. And there's no medical training whatsoever going on here to make her a nurse or anything.
They're old, just keep them clean and alive.
So, Sister Amy is well known for her nurturing tonics, her nutritional meals that she serves, full of healthy fruit and veg. That all the residents help to grow in the gardens. None of that shop-bought malarkey.
That's
no.
That's
Oh,
nice.
but Amy likes to keep a close eye on what goes into the food.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that somehow... So she's not getting shop-board stuff, she's doing home grown...
She likes, yes.
Small holding for this nursing home.
Absolutely. But in 1907, so only 3 or 4 years later, the Seymour family actually decide to close the business and sell the house. They decided, for whatever reason, they need the cash.
Is it because everyone's dead?
No one's dead at this point. There have been no untoward... It's an elderly nursing home. I'm sure people died. But at the time, there is no suggestion of anything improper.
So they just decide to close
They just decide to close the house.
That's a bit mean.
No, well, perhaps it's because they say they live in California, a long way from Connecticut. It's just not worth the hassle, or they weren't making as much money as they thought they might.
She's spending all her money growing courgettes.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that leaves Amy and James without a home, without a livelihood. But they decide, we quite like this. We're good at this, looking after the old people malarkey. We will set up our own home. And the Archers, they buy a large house in Windsor, Connecticut, not Windsor, UK.
Are you sure it's in
America? I believe
it's definitely in America.
Definitely in America.
They haven't set it up in Windsor Castle.
It's in Windsor Castle. They took over a wing of Windsor Castle. Queen Victoria was one of the residents.
She was there.
She was there in the background. But they buy a large house in Windsor and convert it into the Archer Home for Elderly People and Chronic Invalids.
Nice.
A catchy title.
It's Ron Seal. I work in marketing and I'm a big fan of Ron Seal. Just say what you need to do on there.
Say what it is. And they got it exactly
Elderly
right.
people, in chronic invalids,
and chronic invalids.
Poison.
And they start taking in paying residents. Now, as we said, nursing homes are very rare at the start of the 20th century. Traditionally, care of the elderly was a family thing.
Or it was the Bring Out Your Dead, the cart.
That's a bit before that, I feel.
Was it though, Nick? Was it?
I think that may be a few hundred years
Not
prior.
down my way. Okay, so yeah,
we're in civilized Connecticut, not wherever the hovel you came from, living under a hill or something.
Under a hill. That's where we put the dead.
In your hobbit ways. So, it was down to the children and grandchildren to take care of older family. And it was not uncommon to have several generations living under the same roof.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there it is. But things are starting to change. So the younger generations, they're moving into the cities. That's where the work is. That's where the big jobs are. Parents are being left in the rural towns to fend for themselves as they get a bit older.
Children.
Children.
The greatest poison of them all.
So the Archers have no difficulty whatsoever in filling their home with residents. Or inmates, as they were charmingly known.
Oh, inmates.
Inmates, that's what that was their... Doesn't make you feel good, really, does it?
Really, no. So... Your children have abandoned you. I'll go to this nice home. Yes, here's your striped suit.
Exactly. Here's your plate of gruel that Amy has made herself.
From the finest of dust.
So, in 1910, James Archer dies.
Oh, her husband.
Her husband passes away, leaving her a single mother. But the official cause of death was listed as Bright's disease, which is a generic term for kidney disease.
I'd never heard of that before.
Yes. I'd heard of Bright's disease, and I had no idea what it was.
I've never heard of Bright's disease.
Apparently it's like a catch-all term for any sort of kidney disease was known as Bright's disease.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm assuming it was the doctor, Bright, who invented kidneys.
Or maybe when the kidney dies, it emits this ball of light, like the Ark of the Covenant.
it may well be that. I mean, that sounds much more logical.
I'm going to go
than
with
being
that.
named after a doctor called Bright.
Let's go with that.
Let's go with Ark of the Covenant inside each and every one of us. But how very fortunate for Amy that only a few weeks before she had taken out an insurance policy on her husband.
Oh, how convenient.
Amy dries her tears. She heads out to the insurance office to claim a lovely payout that allows her to keep the Archer home running and pays for her daughter to go to the local school and have piano lessons. Absolutely.
And you know,
Provided there's nothing sneaky going on.
No, surely
not.
We should probably put a caveat in here at some point. I understand that sometimes people die and people
No,
get payouts.
no. The only way people die is by poison.
But that's the point of insurance. But nowadays, if you have insurance, it's probably a very good idea. Please get health insurance. Don't let your family be burdened with your death.
But then in 1913, so 3 years later, Amy remarries.
Okay.
Her second husband, a chap called Michael Gilligan. He himself was a widower with 4 adult sons, but he is a wealthy man. Interested in Amy, but then also in the home as an investment. So willing to, sees it as a going concern, making some money. I'm happy to invest some cash, keep it going, and I love you too.
Were those his wedding vows?
Those were his wedding vows. Have some cash, I love you.
This house, I will love it forever and ever.
But then, February the 20th, 1914, only 3 months after the marriage,
What?
Michael is dead. The official cause of death, an acute bilious attack. Severe indigestion. Death
What?
by indigestion.
A severe bilious attack.
An acute bilious attack.
That's what I say to you when you're drunk.
Yeah.
What? No, sorry,
So
what?
he's died from
indigestion. I have
Yes.
heard of this before,
Yes.
but I've always thought it was bollocks.
Well-
I thought it was rhetoric.
Nope, no, that's what was on his death certificate,
Okay.
which is... But again, I mean, luckily for Amy, she's a very lucky lady in this 3-month marriage. Her new husband has drawn up a will,
What?
leaving his entire estate solely to her. I mean, this did not go over well with Michael's grown children,
Yeah.
unsurprisingly,
Yeah.
who protested quite vociferously at the change of will. But a will is a will, and a death certificate that says natural causes says natural causes. There's no getting away from it. So that's what it is. There's nothing they can do.
She's just dancing around the train.
And she, exactly, she...
I've got the death certificate.
I've got all your money.
I got all your money.
So that's pretty much what it is.
That's grim.
Yeah,
Oh, Jesus.
so
and I
she's-
would be mightily pissed off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 3 months in, you get everything. Oh.
Yeah, no provision whatsoever for the children.
And she's clearly not deciding to, oh no, let me hand out.
Oh,
She's
absolutely
taken
not.
every
No, she's
penny.
like, no, it's mine. He wanted me to have it. I'm having it all.
She's evil. She's
I'm
evil.
going to
She
get
can
a
die.
big frock.
A big frog. Is that what girls do?
That's what
Nick?
girls do.
That's what girls do.
Is that all girls do when they get money?
Yep, we get big frocks,
Big
we
frocks.
put on lipstick, and then we go down the
Go and buy
docks.
hats.
We go out and get shit-faced. Go home with an even bigger hat.
Amy's clever. And over the years of running the home, she has put in place a rather unique payment structure,
Okay.
as it were, for the residents. So you could opt to pay on a weekly basis, or for a flat fee of $1,000, the caring widower would look after you for the rest of your life.
$1,000
$1,000
for the rest of your days.
for the rest of your days. So $1,000, a considerable sum.
And these are old people.
Well, not necessarily. You're probably looking. They're old, but you're also looking for the more invalid side of things as well. So people who have been injured, perhaps at work, can't work. So can't look after themselves quite as well. But they're not old, infirm, going to die
Well,
relatively
you'd have
soon.
veterans, and you'd also have people who, get
Yeah,
abandoned and not have
probably
a house.
you're looking for probably from like 60s up to dead sort of age group.
The dead turning up to the house is not a good investment. You can't
Save money.
They'll also not pay you money unless their
That is the
family are
downside.
that committed to the lie.
But it seems that those who took up the option of the £1,000 sort of down payment were generally in worse health than they had realised, because they kept dying. I mean, it's most mysterious. They go in there healthy. Yes, I've got a good few years left on me. I'm not paying you weekly. Here's my $1,000. I've done my sums, so it's actually going to work out better for me to pay you up front. Oh look, 2 weeks later I'm dead. And Amy's got a lot of money.
That's a hard thing to sign up for as well. If you go into there, if family, or if it's probably just you because your family have apparently fucked off to California.
Yeah.
And just coming in going, okay, do you want the weekly option or the year option? It's like, well,
It's the weekly option or the rest of your life option.
I'm gambling each week whether or not I die and like, how much money I have.
Yeah, but you think of like an average, I don't know what the life expectancy at that time would have been, but you're probably looking, 70, 80, something like that, maybe.
You're playing the lottery, you're just gambling with your own life.
You're entirely playing the lottery. So if you go in there, you've been injured, you go in there when you're 60, 65, you think, okay, perhaps I've got 15 years left.
Yeah.
It's going to cost me whatever it is per week. So you are gambling that I'm going to live longer than 10 years. And then
Seems like a really good deal.
Seems like a great deal.
For people like us. Looking from the outside going, we all know what they're going to do.
Oh, well, exactly. From the outside, it seemed like a great deal. Especially if they went with people who went in slightly younger. In the 5 years between 1911 and 1916, there are 48 unexpected deaths in the Archer home.
That's a lot.
Well, I'm saying many will say that 48 deaths over 5 years in a home for the elderly and infirm is that
unexplained?
Well, yeah, unexpected. So sudden deaths. So we're not talking about people who are like, oh, you've hit 99 and you've had a heart attack. Okay, yeah.
So you're approaching like 10 deaths a year.
Could we say a comparison was done with another care home in the neighbouring city, so the Jefferson Street home in Hartford records a similar number of deaths over the same period, though they had 7 times the number of residents as the Archer home does. So the rate of mortality is way, way, way higher. Among the fatalities was 60-year-old Franklin Andrews. So he was injured when he was younger, and he had badly injured his leg, and which left him unable to work. But he was still healthy and fit, but he couldn't work because of his injury. But he got about enough to do errands round the house, looking after the apple trees that grew in the orchard around the house. We have apples, everyone.
Apples! That was it.
That was it. There are so few things in this.
Did you read that somewhere? Just went, he took care of the apple tree. Apple tree! Apple tree!
There were apples in the garden, thank fuck.
But she grew her own vegetables. She could have picked anything. Okay, apple trees is good.
I don't want to do a carrot-based cocktail.
I do.
I'll leave that one for you.
Carrot cake.
In May 1914, Andrews has spent the day outside repainting a fence that runs around the house, and he collapses. 2 days later, he is dead. Cause of death listed as gastric ulcer. After his death, all of Franklin's belongings were sent to his sister, Miss Nellie Pierce.
Good name.
Initially, she had accepted the verdict of natural causes. Well, that's life. People die, people get ill, people die. But as she starts going through his possessions, she comes across letters from Amy, where she is really strongly pressing Franklin for money, insisting that he makes her the benefactor in his will.
Oh.
And Nellie starts to grow suspicious.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, about her brother's death. And she takes the concerns to the local police. Police, not interested.
What?
Not interested in the slightest. As far as they're concerned, nothing is amiss. The death has been recorded by natural causes. That was that. Here's some mad woman whose brother has died, kicking up a fuss
with
for no
hard
reason.
Evidence.
With a letter that says, oh, can I have some money?
I mean, like, stupid Amy, don't bloody write to the people asking for stuff. Don't put pen
Especially
paper.
as when she lives in your home.
Exactly,
You go and have a chat with him. You don't have to do it in the
just go
the
and
form
talk
of
to him.
letter.
Just nudge him with a stick every now and then.
But, the police are not interested.
Bastards.
But Nellie is not to be dissuaded. She is not going to give up. And she takes her story and her concerns to the Hartford Courant, the local newspaper.
Oh, okay, right. The Hartford Courant.
Courant. Courant. Courant.
Courant.
I've never heard that.
I've never heard of that.
As a newspaper
Keep
titling.
thinking cormorant, and I think it's a
Yeah,
bird.
it's a bird. She goes and talks to the bird that sits in Hartford. Nellie's going, "Oh, bird, my brother's dead. What are you going to do about it, Mr. Bird?"
That's why the police were like, she's magic. All she does is talk to a
That's why
seabird.
the police are going, I don't think so.
She goes like, I will write to the prophet hen, I swear to God. She goes to
the local newspaper and reports it to them. A reporter there, Carlin Gosley, takes an interest.
Good name.
For some years he has been in charge of writing the obituaries and has been troubled by the frequency that he is having to write the obituaries for the Archer house.
Troubled by the frequency.
Yeah, he's going, I'm writing an awful lot of these from this house.
Okay.
So he takes it upon himself to do a bit of digging, and he takes a trip to the local drugstore, H. Mason's drugstore, and he pours through the poison register. Amy's name comes up again and again and again. Gosley goes to his editor, Clifford Sherman, and the paper opens an investigation, and they really start drilling down and finding out all the goings on at the home and investigating the worryingly high mortality rate. On the 9th of May 1916, the first of many articles on the suspicious care home was published. The headline ran, "Police believe Archer Home for Aged a murder factory." Now that's going to get people's attention.
Yes. I am reading that 100%.
Exactly.
There's a murder factory?
There's a murder factory.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is almost 2 years after the death of Franklin Andrews. So Nellie has been really quite persistent in making sure this story and this does not get forgotten about.
Good for her.
Well, absolutely.
Well, you would.
Indeed. You would. Your brother has died and you think something really dodgy is going on. Yeah. You're not going to forget about it.
Exactly.
The paper uncovers a interesting and terrifying trend of older male residents who decide to leave everything they have to Amy. And then suddenly die. Unsurprisingly, this caused quite a lot of concern around the town. And relatives of those who have died over the past few years go, hang on a minute.
But they didn't the first time?
No, apparently not.
They were like, she's been so nice, let her have his will.
She's been so nice. And I think a lot of these people are not rich people, so we're not talking about massive, massive inheritances.
Even so, you still want the few pittance back.
But also, I don't think necessarily they're leaving it to Amy, they're leaving it to the home, which she controls, so in effect it's her money. But they have been cared for by this place.
Guilt, that's it. The family are guilty. They've shoved the daddy or the old person into the home, and then the person chooses to leave it to the home. They go, well, fair enough, actually, we didn't look after them.
Exactly, we didn't look after them. These people have obviously provided a loving, safe environment for dear old dad. We'll let them have the...
this is some nasty stuff.
Money.
Yeah, the family aren't questioning it because we're all bitches.
But after this story comes out, they go, something's not quite right.
We could have had money.
We could have had some cash after all. I mean, spurred by the gossips and the rumours the articles were causing, the police do jump into action. I think probably mostly, I'm sure, to try and stem the bashing that they were taking in the press for just not doing anything.
The police leap into action after 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, they are being accused of complete indifference, or I mean, even worse, some sort of collusion with the home about why aren't these things being investigated. Well, Amy's given them a little backhander of don't ask any questions. She's got the money coming in. But obviously the police are having none of that, so they leap into action. But, I mean, the investigation lasts over a year. So it's a long, quite thorough investigation, and they pull apart Amy's life entirely. A previous court case comes to light that reveals in 1909 the care home had been sued by the McClintock family over the lack of care given to an elderly relative at the home. And the case is settled out of court, quietly, hush-hush, and the Archers pay the family $5,000.
Wow, that's a lot.
$140,000 today to keep them quiet about dear old Uncle Bob. It's hushed up, but it comes out now in this investigation. The bodies of second husband Michael Gilligan and Franklin Andrews and 3 other residents are exhumed, and a much more detailed testing is carried out, as one would hope. All 5 were found to have been poisoned, either by arsenic or strychnine.
Arsenic
and strychnine. She didn't seem to have a preference. It was like, what can I get my hands on today?
Well, those are the most common poisons. So arsenic, rat poison, and strychnine also for rat poison.
Things you can find in the chemists.
You would strychnine again in old people's homes as a restorative tonic. You would be able to get that all the time. The two beauties. There it is. Why mess around? Why mess around with any of these newfangled things?
Absolutely not.
Do you think she went in there and was shopping around each week and kind of like, now, do I want to try this atropine? No, you know what? Arsenic and strychnine. I know what it works, and I know what I like. I mean, at Andrew's autopsy, they found enough arsenic to kill 6 strong men, the report says. And 20 weak men.
And 1,000 women. But only 6 strong men. But they find no sign whatsoever of the gastric ulcers that has supposedly done him in.
Arsenic. Oh my god, ow, my stomach.
So then there were questions about, well, was whoever wrote these death certificates, were they in collusion? Were they given a bit of... We don't know.
Oh, do we not?
We don't know.
Is it just, again, one of those, doctors, fucking greatest poison of them all? Just, okay, fine, it's this.
I think it's exactly that.
Just write it off. We're not going to spend money and time when no one is paying for this autopsy.
Absolutely right. These are not wealthy people. There's not a huge amount of money here. There are no families nearby. Oh, your stomach hurts. Fine. Gastric. It's going to be natural causes.
Fair enough.
No one jumps to poisoning as the first potential thing.
They should.
They should. Yes, indeed, they should. And I mean, local merchants. They testified that Amy was
Local merchants.
Local
Excuse
merchants.
me. Sorry, do you mean shopkeepers?
merchants, druggists.
Have we suddenly gone back to the 1500s,
We have.
Nick?
They have barrels and
When they're selling their silks and spices upon the river.
local chemists.
Yes, chemists, I get that.
You sure? Is that better for you?
Chemists, druggists,
Druggists.
apothecaries.
The local chemists testified that Amy was quite the regular in purchasing large quantities of arsenic, always saying that it's those damn rats are back again. Those damn rats. I need the arsenic, I need the strychnine to kill the rats.
Of course.
But revisiting the poison books at the chemist, they reveals that Amy has purchased 10 ounces of arsenic just before the death of second husband Michael Gilligan. And 10 ounces
Is a
is
hell of a
lot. It's an awful lot of arsenic.
That is a lot of
No
one needs that
Some
much
reports
arsenic.
mean enough to kill 100 people.
Good God.
I mean, it's not all used to kill Michael, but she buys a considerable amount of arsenic. And in another twist, Gilligan's children are further vindicated in their suspicions when it's discovered that the will is a forgery,
Really?
written in Amy's own hand.
No
How
one
this
tested-
wasn't
Why
discovered?
did they not check? Why do people not check?
They're married, husband and wife. Why wouldn't he change his will? His children have grown, they've got their own occupations, they necessarily don't need the
If they were
money.
contesting it, you'd point it out. You'd say it's not their fucking handwriting. Ugh.
But it's found now. Amy Archer Gilligan is arrested and tried for murder. Unsurprisingly. Originally they tried to prosecute the 5 deaths that they had confirmed when they exhumed the bodies. But her lawyer manages to get the charges reduced to a single count. That of the most recent murder of Franklin Andrews.
Yeah, that's quite common.
So, yep, those other previous cases were perhaps too old. The evidence was insufficient. So they've gone with the one most recent case where they've got the most amount of evidence for. But I mean, one charge is enough.
Yeah.
And on the 18th of June 1917, a jury finds her guilty and she is sentenced to death. But one charge is enough. And on June the 18th, 1917, a jury finds her guilty and she is sentenced to death. And she is set to go to the gallows in November of that same year. But Amy is not ready to give up, and her lawyers launch appeal after appeal, and due to a technicality, her conviction is overturned.
What?
And she is granted a retrial. Now, I do not know what that technicality was, but she is granted a retrial.
It could be something very boring.
Exactly,
It's probably
it's
something very
exactly. It's going to be a technical thing. Someone didn't sign a bit of paper properly or something like that. But she is granted a retrial. And I mean, this time she goes straight for the insanity plea.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
She claims her mother had been an opium addict. Her own daughter, Mary, gives evidence that Amy is herself addicted to morphine.
But that
No.
doesn't make you kill people.
No, I mean, none of this came out in the first trial when she went for innocent.
Yeah, of course.
But now I've
she's
got
the
a retrial.
technicality and everything is
Got a
right.
retrial. Now I'm going for the crazy because it does not lead to a death sentence. And it's discovered that there is actually a history of mental illness in the family. It's discovered that her brother John had been an inmate at the Connecticut General Hospital for the Insane since 1902.
So?
One of her sisters is also listed as living in the hospital in the 1930s census. Yeah, these are her siblings, so it makes no difference whatsoever to her, but it's brought out. The trial ends suddenly, though, on the July 1st, when Amy changes her plea to guilty. Obviously, seeing what's going on, I'm not going to get away with this. No. And this insanity thing is not going to go on. I'm going to plead guilty to murder in the second degree, which carries an automatic life sentence, rather than murder in the first degree, which is death sentence. How she manages to get it changed down to second degree murder, I do not know. I mean, her crimes are very much premeditated and meticulously planned, which is the hallmark of first degree murder.
It's a weird technicality. Forensic Files will help us with this. So when you're listening, please write on this episode notes about how that could possibly work back in the day.
I think mainly it is because she says, if you let me have second degree murder, I will plead guilty. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to argue. It's a plea bargain. So I get life in prison.
But if you are contesting it, huge amount of money, huge amount of state money, huge amount of time that is going to be spent. So you are arguing, and that's why a lot of the cases end up being, we'll do this one charge rather than having to tie it up with 4 or 5, which we know you've convicted, and it's very sad for the family that they don't get closure. But it's just easy. We'll get you on this and we'll make it a massive sentence. And
she is sentenced to life imprisonment. She's sent to the state prison It's an old Civil War fortress.
State prison.
It's not a jolly place.
Okay.
I mean, it only houses men. Until she's there, it has been a male prison.
Really?
She's given a little cell in a tower or something of this fortress.
Is she Rapunzel?
Not with that hair, she's not.
Not
no.
with that hair.
But I mean,
She used the bow to let them down.
potentially. I mean, her incarceration just breaks her entirely.
Wow.
And in 1924, she is declared hopelessly insane. And she's transferred from the state prison to a secure mental hospital, where she stays for the rest of her life. She dies there in 1962, which is so much later than I'd imagined. She's 89 years old.
Okay.
Obviously, anyone who was even connected to her case long since passed away. We've had this before, where someone survived so long that in prison that the people who had forgotten why she was there.
Yeah, we had that last week with Crippen's Ethel.
Yes.
With his girlfriend, that she survived into the 60s. I mean, like, she didn't do anything with the case, but it's funny when we're talking about things in the 1910s and then something in the 60s, which does seem quite close, even though it was, 60 years ago.
But yeah, it feels relatively modern. So yes, I mean, so she has died. She has killed 5 people. But it's interesting researching this, as there are so many different versions of this story.
Yeah.
In one I read, she is married not only Archer and Gilligan, but also married a further 5 of her elderly patients.
Oh, really?
And she became the beneficiaries in their wills. But there are no names for these 5 other people. So are they getting confused with the other bodies that they dug up who were just residents, and someone's embellished that she actually married them?
Yeah.
Rather than that, I mean, she did sort of hyphenate her name with her 2 first husbands, so having a further 5 would have been quite a long... Amy, Archer, Gilligan, Smith, Jones, Blake, Gordon Green. So it would have been quite a mouthful to get your 7 husbands' surnames. Yeah, as I say, I mean, while it's probably true that she killed those men, I don't think she married them. In another version I read, there were 9 female patients who fell victim to her as well, but that was only in one version. So there's a lot of randomness going on. Well, exactly, you never know. I mean, some people attribute every death at the home to her homicidal ways, which is nonsense, because then, I mean, some people give her like the title of one of the most prolific serial killers in history, because she's got over 50 deaths on her hands. But I think that also is probably fairly unlikely. Yeah. Many of the deaths there were probably pretty natural. So that is the story of Amy Archer Gilligan, Sister Amy. Sister Amy. And another interesting twist, actually, there was another cocktail that I had considered for this episode.
Oh, really?
But then I was slightly kicking myself because we've already done it on a previous episode.
Oh, what was it?
Because the case of Amy Archer Gilligan was the inspiration for the 1941 play Arsenic and Old Lace. By Joseph Kesselring.
Yes!
Which tells the story of spinster sisters, Abby and Martha, who take to murdering elderly gentlemen with arsenic in elderberry wine. The play quite famously was made into a film by Frank Capra in the 40s, starring Cary Grant. And there was a fantastic cocktail named after the play, The Arsenic on Lace, which we had on a previous episode. So I was like, why did I waste that cocktail on that one? I mean, it's interesting from one of the critics, because obviously the Arsenic on Lace is a comedy.
Yes,
it's comedy films, and no one at the time thought that you could make a comedy out of such a dreadful thing. But one critic puts it, "You won't believe homicidal mania could be such fun." So the story of Amy Archer Gilligan.
Good story.
A modern, well, not a modern, but a 1910s Pennywise, crazy looking lady. I think she
truly was.
You're
the big, the Pennywise.
I think I know Pennywise has got a big ruff, but it's that big bow that does it. It just really freaks me out.
It was of the fashion.
Yes, it's just like entirely unnecessary.
And it's quite unassuming, isn't it? If you wear that and you've got to be a nice, kindly old lady.
I think it looks really freaky.
Well,
I'm probably at the time when
everyone,
if you saw someone like that walking down the street, you go, she's about to kill people.
She was holding a bottle of arsenic at the same time, laughing her head off. I don't think the bow would be the problem there. Great story. Ooh,
there we go.
Again, another person caring of the elderly.
Exactly, yes.
Being a nurse, coming with smiles and kindness.
Yep,
yeah, I don't think I'm sure she didn't kill all the people that were
absolutely
there. Because
not.
It's one of those where you go, oh, well, let's attribute every single death under the roof. But, clearly greed. Greed again.
Oh, completely.
The greatest poison of them all.
Greed. wants the money. That's all there is. All there is to it.
As a journalist in my former life, I did do a couple of stories about care homes and getting the reports back about the level of care there, and it is quite terrifying. Now, things have moved on quite a bit from the early 2000s when I was doing this story, but I found reports about the level of care that people got. Outwardly, oh, it's a wonderful, caring sort of place, but people just neglected them, and they just didn't care because they're old and they'll die and they'll pay their bills. And it's quite chilling, and it's there are some amazing care homes out there, and like some really good ones, but it is worth investing in them. That person who's wandered in there with all their worldly possessions not being looked after by their family, yes, I'll pay this £1,000 fee, yes, I'm sure I've got a good few years in me, oh, I'm so pleased that you have a vegetable garden, I love vegetables.
I like apples,
oh, apples, my favourite of the fruits. And then the family probably feeling so frickin' guilty, rightly so, to a point, or just going, oh, we didn't really care about them, and they've said, well, we've left the money to the care home who really did give a shit about us at the end. I bet you Amy laid that on thick.
Oh, I've no doubt, absolutely.
Yeah,
that,
and then
that guilt and...
There can't be any other reason for why they wouldn't contest it. Well, good for Nellie.
Well, indeed. I mean, none of this would have come to light if it wasn't for her persistence.
Yeah.
And her going... And was another interesting thing that actually, as a direct result of this, because prior to this, there was no legislation, no rules and regulations about care homes or homes for the elderly at all. And as a result of this, they introduced federal law that there were certain standards that had to be kept and inspections and things like that. And that was a direct result of this case. And what had gone on at the Archer home.
It still is a problem nowadays that those, they're constantly updated and the standards aren't upheld. But imagine that, just having in a time where just they're old. They're old, fuck them. They're a burden on society.
Oh, right.
Ooh, chilling.
Nasty.
It's sad.
No, it is
Bad
sad.
Amy.
Bad
Amy. Those poor old people. Do you think she was... Seems like she was maybe, seducing some of the older men. Not in a dirty way, but in a probably just being very...
I'm sure being very affectionate, very kind. She handmade all the meals and stuff like that, so she was very attentive.
Yes, this is mainly poison.
But she was incredibly attentive, it seemed, to these people who probably did form a very strong attachment to the only person who was there talking to them and listening to their stories and listening to their life and all this sort of stuff. They weren't getting visitors, their family wasn't coming to visit them.
And we have to remember that not all serial killers are sitting there cackling the whole way through, that some of them do have all of them have a mental problem, but there are common mental illnesses with them wanting to give that level of care and that sort of God complex, as we've talked about before, and we shall explore in another expert witness bonus episode. Well, there she is, Amy. Go go gaze upon her photo. People, you will see it in the episode notes. If you haven't taken note of it, go and have a look at it. What do you think? What do you think of Amy? What do you think of terrifying care home stories?
Yeah.
Ring your parents. Be nice to your parents.
Be nice to your parents.
Look after your parents. Don't kill them. Look after the elderly. Cherish them. Cherish them. Soon they'll be dead. Great story. And that cocktail did work out okay in the end. It worked
better with the motion, the extra sweetness. Definitely helped.
Definitely. The extra sweetness in there made it so much more pleasant, everything that it should have been. So agave syrup is a wonderful thing, so definitely use that in there. The recipe will be up on the social media later on. Make it, share it, make it your own versions of it. And
what I'm interested in is, because many people were going about all sorts of apple-based cocktails. So make your own apple cocktails and let me know, because I want to try some. I very nearly made apple teenies, but I didn't. I went for something I hadn't had before, and I regret it bitterly.
Apples. I'm just thinking of all the Simpsons references to cider and apples. Yeah, if it's brown and yellow, you've got juice there, fella. It's tangy and brown, you're in Cider Town. Share whatever apple-based drink you're making, even if it's a cider. Or if it's just apple juice and petrol, share it with us.
That classic cocktail.
Tell us more stories that you want us to cover. This weekend we'll be sharing more content, not just because it's my birthday. It's a big birthday as well.
Big birthday. She's very, very old.
21 years old.
21 years.
I'm 60. No, I'm not. Got some great stuff that we're going to share, some extra witness stories. We're going to have more stuff over on Patreon. Come and join the party, people. The biggest birthday present you guys can give to me, should you wish to, please send me shit as well, is share this podcast.
Absolutely.
Leave us a wordy review on Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and share it with your friends. Get more people to subscribe. Just post something on whatever social media channels that you use and tell people to come and discover the Poisonous Cabinet. We will love you forever for it, and it will make me very happy. Deep down inside.
And that's what we all want. Otherwise, I just get it in the neck.
You do, yeah.
So
make my black heart sing. Come and find us on Patreon. Come and find us on social media and have a chat. So, we have been the people inside the Poisonous Cabinet. We will see you next week. And remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.